Welcome back to Fighters Drinking Coffee, guys. So, you've been smashing everybody in the gym. You're feeling great. You're the best white belt, best blue belt, whatever. It's promotion day. You trade that belt in. Your professor, your coach, whatever, puts that new belt around your waist. You're feeling good, right?
Yes.
You're on top of the world.
I feel great.
And then it's Monday. That first training afterwards.
You're
and
fired
then all
up.
of a sudden,
Fired up.
you hop on the mat with those guys that you were crushing before. And what happens? They start crushing you. And you suck now, right? We're talking about the blue belt blues, guys. So when I think this happens to a lot of people, right? You get that you're feeling good at whatever belt rank you are. You're whooping up on everyone else at your level, and then you get that new belt, and everyone all of a sudden, like those guys that you were hanging with at the next belt rank, you're not hanging with them anymore, right? Like we've all experienced this that have gone through promotions and those rank ups and everything, and like you feel that massive skill, like you feel like you suck again when you get the next belt because everyone stops going easy on you.
Target
is one of the things, right?
Yeah,
and
the
then
target's on
also the guys below you got that target on your back and they want to get to that rank, and now you're the guy they need to beat because it's like, oh, well, if I can beat him, I'm going to get that belt. But so how do we overcome that, right? Like, how do we get past this low point? Because honestly, it's probably one of the driving reasons a lot of people quit at blue belt, right? Like that's the big joke is that people to get their blue belt and then they're just gone, right? They disappear. They never do jujitsu again. And like part of that is that they stop feeling like they're learning. They stop feeling like they're getting better, and they start to be like, oh, like maybe I just sucked at this whole time. So Scott, what do you think? What's your thoughts on this? What's your advice?
Yeah,
You've been through more of these than I have,
my
right?
advice. Yeah. Having just watched Rocky 3 recently, you got to keep the eye of the tiger, dude. You can't trade your passion for glory. It's part of the lyrics of Eye of the Tiger.
I think that's
song,
verbatim. It is a good song.
You trade your passion for glory. But anyways, yeah. Okay, what's my advice? Well, I guess feel like you suck. The good news is, well, okay, there's good news and bad news. You probably suck, and that's okay. That's okay. You don't suck as much as you used to. That's why you got your blue belt, which is nice. And I guess a couple things. Number one, I think for the people who quit after they get their blue belt or kind of just stop showing up as much, it could be that a lot of these dudes, that's the accomplishment they wanted, and they feel like they've done it. They've conquered jiu-jitsu, at least in their worldview or whatever. Which is you can't control that if that's what someone wants to do. They're good with it. Maybe it was never really like a big passion for that person. I felt like they accomplished something. Like I want to train some martial arts for a little while, learn some skills, be recognized for it, and then I'm good with that. And I've scratched the itch on like a little bit of martial arts in my life. Which, again, if that's what you want out of your life, all right, man, so be it, no problem. I don't think that's who we're speaking to. We're talking to the people who are kind of like, crap, man. Like I thought this was going to be like life changing, and like, man, feels the same. Feels the same after like the honeymoon period of getting that belt, and that's like. I will say, like, if you're going from white to blue belt and you get your blue belt, that's great. That's cool. And savor that, enjoy it, like let it fire you up, let it motivate you. That's awesome, man. You should enjoy that. It's an accomplishment. Like you should be proud of that. As a coach and professor for a long time, you want that person. And what I was saying earlier about that individual who's like, I've checked the box. I would partially put the blame on ourselves as coaches to not plant that fire, that drive in that person to want to continue to do it. I guess the other part of what I'm going to say is that as the coach, you want that person to be excited about what they've accomplished and how they got there and the work they did to continue to show up and be recognized for it when they get there. But you want them to get to the purple belt and the brown belt and the black belt. We want individuals to train this stuff for their entire lives. If they feel the drive and the desire to want to make this a part of their life. So that's like, I think that's because it is for me. And any coach or professor, you're a coach. You're committed to this stuff. You've been doing it for so many years. Like you realize how valuable it is to you, and for I think for people in that position, for people who are in that coaching role, it's like it's easy. We've accepted and welcomed like how awesome it is to have this martial arts lifestyle. And so to us, it's a no-brainer. I'm like, of course we want to, like, this is what we do. Now we're trying to give it back to other people now as coaches. And so we get that. And we for the most part, like I would imagine, I can't speak for all the coaches, but like I think it's pretty common. Most people would nod their heads if they're in a coaching position. It's like, you don't want to live your life without this at a certain point. So there's like this passion and excitement for the big picture that we should be trying to instill in people. And we try, again, you can't, like, if someone's checked that box, this is what they want to do, no problem, man. But anyways, that's just my way of kind of addressing that. Let's perhaps that group of people who are like, hey, I got my blue belt, I'm all set, no problem. You don't see the martial arts lifestyle is something that you want to do fully, no problem, all good. Can't force it on people. You don't want to do that. But let's address the other group of people who are like, all right, man, like, yeah, I am in it. I thought, I thought I was a beast now. And I'm just getting murked by the same group of dudes who are already murking me. And as you said, maybe some of the dudes who haven't quite gotten the blue belt but are pretty tough, like some good 2, 3, 4 stripe white belts who are coming after me now. Yeah, dude, that's going to happen. And what I would advise, so to get to what you asked, like, what's my advice? It's those people to embrace it, man. Like, I mean, how you got to from your white to blue belt is showing up. Just showing up. Talked about this so many times. Just show up, man. Like, stay healthy, keep training, accept like the journey is it goes, it's easy, hard, easy, all the in-betweens. Like it's days change, weeks change, month change insofar as like how well you feel like you're doing. And we've also talked about this, but like the other guys around you are training too, like they're getting better as well. And maybe I've seen it, I've probably done it, you've probably seen it, you've probably done it. Other people might get real fired up about coming after you now. They, like you said, like in a lot of training cultures, part of what makes jiu-jitsu really cool is that we get to spar with our training partners, like almost every single class that we're in. And so a big part of what makes jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, one of the more interesting martial arts versus others where sparring isn't as common, is that you earn your belts a lot of times. It's on merit. It's on work and tenure and merit. So like there's like a matrix of decision making for promoting someone. A lot of times it is, most of the time it's like, has this guy been showing up and just been consistent working hard? Because not everyone's skill level, like I should say, like let's say like fighting abilities, because that is part of it. Is part of which I think is why like a lot of these white belts are like, well, if I can beat some of these blue belts, the professor will think I'm hanging with the blue belts, which is true, by the way. It is part of like you eyeball it and you're like, hey man, this guy who's been on the mat 2 to 4 times a week for a year to 2 years he's starting to hang with the blue belts. Like it's a big part of how we make decisions on these things.
Yeah, there's definitely that like eye test against everyone else you promoted, right? Like and it differs for each person. It differs gym by gym how they do it. But I mean, yeah, like the eye test is definitely a big part of it because, if they look and match and can hang with everybody else in that rank, it's like, all right, well, that's a pretty good indicator they might be ready. So for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's a big part. And again, like I said, like a ton of what makes this martial art really exciting is that it's merit based in a very large part. Now that's since we're talking about it, I have no problem with, and I've promoted people who maybe they're like not combatively as effective. They don't fight as well, but they show up and they work hard and they're great to have in the training room and they have been getting better. They can demonstrate things. They're just like, hey man, like, some of these other guys are just tougher than me, but I'm doing my work. Like you promote them too. You give them credit for what they do. So I guess it's my way of saying like, you don't have to be like the toughest guy in the room. Like, because hey, by the way, contrast some of the decision making around, like, let's use an example. Again, I know you've seen this. You've probably been this guy. There's like wrestlers who come in who are like nasty and they beat the shit out of blue and purple belts and they're wearing a white belt. And I get into this a lot of times with my teammates, with like other coaches and stuff like that, where we have to kind of like, I think if you look at the promotion decision based on, and I think you should do this, base it on the individual you're looking at. And I would say at its core, going back to the meritocracy thing, I think it's a hard work. It's like this person needs to work a little bit hard. For some people, it isn't beating up other dudes. That isn't hard for a wrestler who shows up. It might be, for that wrestler, it might be like, hey, can you just be patient with the white belt? Do you hate wearing a white belt? Which is, by the way, what a lot of dudes who come in, like, hey, it's constant. I've had this conversation, I mean, for 2 decades. As long as I've been here, where other folks are like, this one tough guy can beat everyone up. I'm like, okay, man, no problem. Like that's not hard for him. What might be hard is like him suppressing his ego and being just willing to wear a white belt. Some people don't want to wear white belts. I don't know why. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's silly to me. Just wear the white belt. Who cares?
Specifically in that scenario
Humble yourself
too, with like the wrestler, right? Like, yeah, they're beating up on everybody, but are they doing jujitsu? Right? Like that's another part of that.
Valid.
Because I mean, I skyrocketed to purple, but I've been at purple because I was only doing up to purple level jujitsu, right? Like I wasn't surpassing that initially. And like now I'm doing more jujitsu, but like got to purple because I was doing up to that level. I was crushing dudes up to purple, but then you get to purple and it changes, right? So like, because what I did in 3 years, I think, and like it's just a different thing once you get there, right? So it depends.
I think that's super valid.
Yeah, like you have to make sure that the jujitsu they're doing matches the belt level. It doesn't matter how good they are at grappling, right? Like there's plenty of guys. Like I got John, he's the world champ now at blue. He was a national qualifier D1 wrestler, but like he still has jujitsu to learn. It doesn't matter that he's a world champ. That just means he's a really good competitor. I mean, he's also really good jiu-jitsu. He's getting better, much better at jiu-jitsu. He's crushing dudes, but like you have to look at their jiu-jitsu to decide. That's not up to me. But
sure, I know what you mean,
specific, but like this is an example. Like you have guys like that are just really good grapplers, really good competitors, but you can't just look at how like who they're beating. You have to look at how they're doing those things.
I think that's valid, man.
And that's like one section, but you also have the guys that they might never beat another dude in the gym because they might be 70 years old, right? And they're just starting jujitsu and everybody else is 20 years younger at the closest, right? That dude's going to have a completely different journey to black. He might never beat another person in the gym just because he's 70 years old, right? Like he's going to have a hard time with that teenager who is full of piss and vinegar and growing every single day, right? Like it's just a completely different thing. And so like they talk about this a lot, right? Like people talk to their coach, like, what do I need to do? His answer is going to be different for every single person. There's obviously going to be some amount of similarity, but it's his decision-making, your professor's decision-making, whoever is promoting you, their decision-making is going to be slightly different for each one of you based on what your specific jiu-jitsu journey is going to be. And like, it does create, I know there's plenty of people that get imposter syndrome, which we will definitely talk about. Mm-hmm. Like it's going to be different. The criteria is going to be different. And so like comparison, I'm going to throw comparison is the thief of joy, right? Like they talk about this a lot. You can't be looking specifically within your own gym. You can't be looking at like, oh, well, this guy does this. I'm better than him, but I'm not getting promoted. You're going to be disappointed. You're just going to keep being disappointed that you're not getting promoted. And like, honestly, that mindset might be keeping you from getting disappointed or from getting promoted. Right. Like, so yeah, I mean, there's going to be different pathways. But back to that, what you're talking about, the hard work, right? Like some people, yeah, you need them to work harder, or because you have an idea of what their potential is, and like I might, hey man, like I was going to promote you, but I actually feel like you can do better than you're doing. And by promoting you, I'm not going to pull that out of you. Right. You might not actually have that conversation with someone. Sometimes you do, but like you might know, like by holding this back, this person's going to get where I want them to get to. Or I can give them XYZ goal. And if they can meet that, then that shows that they're listening, they're learning, they're trying to learn, they're looking for that like attainment of knowledge, right? So um especially when people start like you also can tell when people are thinking about it because they start reaching out to their coaches. They start reaching like I had someone reach out the other day. It was like, what do I need to do? And so you have to like maybe they just need to be patient. maybe like, well, hey man, like here's the nitty gritty. Here's the real shit you need to be doing. But as I said, it's gonna be different for every single person, right? Like some dudes just need to keep showing up, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there's a lot within what you said that makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of things to respond to, dude. The first one I want to talk about is I think, well, and this certainly this is I mean it's valid, I suppose, but there's a status that comes with getting a belt, and that's inherently motivating for people. People are motivated by status, and well, I want to connect this with there's a lot of ways I want to continue what I'm saying. Like you said, the comparison thing. I think that's really there's a lot to talk about there because I see this all the time. Kind of plug for why I love the benefits of keeping someone active in a competition setting, because I think if you don't have a goal, it's like you want to cultivate an environment where, I guess I'll put it like this: like you want to treat everyone the same, regardless of belt ranks, with respect to certain things. You know what I mean? Like say treat everyone the same. Like if we're in a training environment and like a black belt has something to say, like yeah, like this guy's gonna speak. Like a blue or purple belt or even a white belt like thinks like, hey, I have something to say too. I'm like, well, hold on. But you treat them all like just like good people. Like I say this because like I think the status psychology can cause people to act in really weird and complicated ways. And my connection to competition is that if people don't have external motivation or competition, like people need competition in some competition's healthy. Like, most people who come into a jiu-jitsu gym are competitive in some regard. And like you said, they're going to compare themselves like, wow, how tough am I against these guys? And so that can be really beneficial if it's harnessed in the right way. And again, like not everyone has to compete, but like there are certain I've known ambitious and competitive people who have turned kind of ugly because they don't compete and they're very competitive and they're very ambitious, and they then turn their internal gaze to like, competing internally. And so then like the status battle gets really weird, and it can be negative. And so like if you don't have like if you're really ambitious and competitive and you don't have like a pathway to express that and you translate that inwards, it can be it doesn't create the right environment.
Yeah, it can be non-constructive.
Yeah, non-constructive, counterproductive.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. But so like, anyways, I would say to people thinking about this, it's like humble yourself and just like kind of remind yourself like you should be excited about the belt that you receive, and like you should nothing wrong with like the status that comes with it. That's great. It's just humble yourself and say, all right, cool. Like I mean, I'm only a blue belt, and the reason why I'm saying the competition thing is because like you might get really good in brown and black belt, but compare yourself to other brown and black belts. Maybe not. I mean, you can do some of that internally. Is nothing wrong with being like, hey, I'm pretty competitive in my own environment. But if you're trying to challenge yourself, and this is like the whole thing is like we're all trying to challenge ourselves and grow from a challenge, in a really positive way. And so, like maybe think about like, hey, if I'm pretty tough here, am I tough in the Virginia area? Am I tough nationally? Compete? Am I tough internationally? Like, it's like you broaden your gaze a little bit and say like, all right, like cool, like I want to test my mettle against other folks if that's like for that type of person, I should say. But yeah, like because I think so much of if like or maybe perhaps the undertone of all of this is like, hey, like I got promoted, but I don't really feel like I'm like tremendously better or different than I was previously, that's normal. That's normal because like you're still in the same room with the same dudes who got, like we said earlier, they're all getting better too. Like they're growing as well. Some people get that belt and they do kind of boost power level up, which is awesome, which is great. Like I mean, like you want these individuals to grow anyways, and to develop their skills and get better. Everyone should be doing that in some capacity to the extent that like they're capable of growing at whatever velocity. You want that. You want everyone to be getting better. That's just a good environment. But don't let, like you said, the comparison thief of joy. Don't let like how the white belts approach you, or like maybe the purple belts are like, oh, I got to smash this guy now for a little while. I'm thinking he's gonna, because they're like this dude's gonna come after me.
Welcome to purple belt, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've probably done that. I think I've probably done that to people too. I'm like, oh, cool, good job, man. I'm gonna smush you for a little bit. Big deal.
And now it begins.
Yeah, and it's just like like it. I guess what I was saying about the psychology of like those types of dudes. It's like, hey man, just like it's the status is really cool, but like remember, like this is maybe this gym is a small pond. There's a big ocean out there, right? There's a lot of ways to compare yourself, and in comparing yourself, like you said, it is the thief of joy. Finding the next challenge, keeping the eye of the tiger, to really like, I think one, humble yourself and accept that like, hey, there's more I can get out of like, this martial arts experience. It might help you a little bit, and like, and ideally, and the reason why we talk about this like this internal competition thing a little bit is like your teammates are your teammates. They're not your competitors. It's fun to like judge skill. Like you should go in and be like, this guy's really good at this. Like I want to challenge him in the training room and see if I can't like extract some skills from this dude and maybe give a little bit back to him or her or whatever. And do that, but it should be about like helping each other. And then like if you want some competition, go find it. Go get some real competition. Because that's like where you gotta be willing to face situations where you might lose and fail. Like if you're serious about about this lifestyle. And within that's where like the real discovery, and that's the courage and risk taking that you want, I think, from someone who really embodies the martial arts lifestyle. And I guess this is one long plug for like kind of go out there if you're in like a leadership position or like you're on this path and you really like what you're doing, like, go do that. And then you'll reevaluate like the frame and perspective that you have for your buddies on the mat. I mean, you might be kind of fired up when like a blue or purple belt like puts you in a fucked up spot and you lose a little bit. And then like cool. Like, well, yeah, think about that.
That's part of the journey anyways, right? Like
I'm listening, Mike. I just got to run.
Yeah, you're good. But like that is part of the journey is like you're not like necessarily everybody trying to beat each other in the gym. Like you're trying to all get better. You're experimenting. You're workshopping stuff. You're trying new things out. Like, so you do also have to remember that like that guy that you just beat in the gym today was trying something new. Like that's also part of it, right? Like you should be trying to get better, not necessarily win every single round of the gym.
That's right.
So you also have to recognize that when you're comparing yourself to these other people internally, right? It's a different thing because we're all in like the acquisition phase where we're at like our own spot, right? Like I might be doing so. Yeah, you beat me, but I was playing something that was completely different than I normally play. Like
right.
Maybe I wasn't doing my game.
Or maybe I have an injury.
Or I'm injured, yeah.
Or I've trained 16 times this week. I'm not at 100%. Like I have a tournament in like a month and like I'm in the skill acquisition phase. And you're in the win the battle on the mat phase. Yeah.
But it's like, I just wasn't feeling great today. Or, that person didn't like it's a completely different scenario than that tournament or that super fight. It's just so, like you can't use that as your point of comparison because everything's different. It's 5:30 in the morning. That dude was up with his baby all night. Who fucking knows?
Care less about the gym hierarchies.
Yeah.
That's I think like the kind of the theme we're getting here. Like care less about the gym hierarchies. Like not that like if you I think this what we're getting at here perhaps is there's like a negative impact of being obsessed with like status. Not that there's any like it's just a human impulse. Like people like value status. There's nothing wrong with that, I suppose. It's just like how you use it, how it's expressed. Which is this more or less why I was plugging like the competition. Like go fight some other teams. Go fight some other folks. Or go see what like someone who doesn't know. And this guy and like you want to like you're trying to like it's funny. Like I'm sure I've done this at some point. But if like the extent of your ambition is like, I got to beat so and so in the next whatever class, and like you treat that like a fight camp, you're like, I'm gonna eat a bunch of food, I'm gonna rest up. That's my fight. I got to beat this guy at this thing.
Been training for 3 months for this day.
Well, it's like, yeah, I mean, some people do that, man. And it's like, I guess like there's nothing wrong with the competitive impulse to like want to like, hey, like this dude beats my ass all the time. And like, it's, you know, he's awesome. Like, I mean, I respect this dude. Like, can I push myself to get better again? So that, like these things, like you can do both things. Like two things can be true at once. Like you can do this, do it in like a healthy way. But in my opinion, like it should be connected with the, like you said, skill acquisition. Like Asim talks about this all the time, which is like, train your assets, like your physical attributes with a guy like him, and then you go into the gym, and that's skill acquisition. Like, and that's why like having like I think a superior goal, a truly ambitious goal, of going out and facing like your potential inadequacies against unknown variables, rather than just being like, I got to be the guy in my own house.
Yeah,
who's the guy? Because that. It's just unsatisfying too, because you'll get to that point. Maybe like if that's your goal, you might get it, and then at what point? Then what?
Yeah, you might. Then you get bored and quit,
or
right?
then
like,
they get scared that like someone else is going to come for them.
Yeah,
it's just like a, you know, it's a weird psychology.
Now
but again, like I mean, and obviously not everyone, like people not everyone thinks this way.
Yeah,
it's just, you know, I've seen it, you've seen it, like it happens. And like and by the way, just every environment's going to have guys like. Guys exist. That's fine, and like, you know, you deal with it.
Well, and
maybe he's a knucklehead. No problem.
We'll save the.
And maybe these people aren't so bad either. Too. It's like it's not the worst thing in the world.
We'll save a branch off of that for a different episode. But you know, like, yeah, that's when you get into like there's that guy that has the ego, and there's a whole different can of worms that can open up with that, and the environment that can create in the gym, and that's just a different thing to deal with, right? We'll save that for a different day, because that could be that would just completely change the episode.
Right, we'll keep it on track. We'll keep it on track.
But I don't hate that. But yeah, so like we're talking about the guy who's the competitor, right? And kind of talked about different journeys, but like
every time we talk, dude, we always end up talking about
competition. Dude, it's just who we are.
It's who we are. Yeah, it's nice. It's for the listeners. It's a good path.
It's what we both came up through. We love talking about. Something
we're still doing it.
We're still doing it. We're both
after all these years, still doing it.
This will come out after, but like I'm competing tomorrow.
I'm competing so many damn times. It's awesome.
It's
man.
almost too much.
Credit to you. Yeah, but
sometimes I get like up to it. I'm just like
another one.
Oh shit.
No, but on the other side of the campaign, dude, when you finally like you've been collecting mad data, dude. We talked about this like, you know, off the camera, but like the amount of like you're in campaign. I'm calling it, dude.
Yeah.
If we can get you to the end of campaign and your body holds up, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want for you as your friend.
Well, it's also tough too, right? Because we were kind of what we were talking about is like you're not really like getting better at this point. You're just like collecting all the
you
data.
Are, but you haven't given yourself a chance just yet to fully. But you are collecting so much more data. You just keep going further and further and further. I've done this too, which is good, by the way. I love this, but like, what you need that like latency. I kind of jokingly think of it as like you're at the buffet.
Yeah,
you're just piling.
I'm just
plates
putting shit on the plate.
you're getting gains, but you got to get that like, all right, slow down and digestion period, which is coming.
Yeah, you have like
on the other side of this campaign, bro. Like you're gonna like sit back and be like, dude, I got 15 levels higher.
Well, yeah, like even just because it's all just like super small incremental stuff, because that's all I've had time to like, right? It's all like that little time, like, all right, well, this happened, adjust for that. This happened, adjust for that. Don't have time to deal with that.
Down.
I don't have time to deal with
you and Jason or something. Jason,
I have it all on.
Good, good.
I have like text messages.
Good,
I just send like this happened.
You need to like write that shit down, man.
But you know, it's like all those little tiny incremental things. But that's kind of part of what I'm getting to here is like, you know, you have at what point, right? Like, because I'm not making I'm just advising. I just say like, oh, well, like I've been noticing this person's getting it, like. Because Jason's not at every single class, right? Like
you're a critical piece of his
decision
decision-making on like how this stuff happens, man.
But I don't make the final like decisions. I don't make the, you know, I can only provide information. Like I'm not making the evaluations. It's not my criteria.
I get it.
Right. So I can be like, yeah, I noticed this person's doing really good at this. But for that competitor, right? Like that guy who's even, you know, got the guy who's going out there, they're winning. Maybe they're losing, but like, what is that process, right? Like you have that process of like, well, this guy's doing XYZ. They're winning these. Yeah, they're losing too, but like compiling that data, right? From the side of the person that is doing the belt grading, right? What's kind of, I know it's
No, I'm
gonna be
tracking. I know what you're asking. I like this question.
but like, how do you make the decision? At what point does that person get promoted?
Okay.
Yeah. Like how, like,
I
and
get
this is gonna be
it.
different for everybody because it's gonna be different person by person, I'm sure. But like, what are the things that you look at? Because this will be good for a lot of guys that listen to this.
Totally.
Is like,
And I like that you're connecting it to the promotion, which is the core of like what we're talking about here. So we're talking about people who compete in this specific instance. And I guess if I may, partially, I will address the question, but also kind of, I guess, take a step back slightly and think about it from like maybe like a holistic, like community perspective, like other folks on the mat who maybe don't compete, but are also working hard, and they need to be evaluated too. I guess there's
I do want to hear that too.
Well,
but I want to do these. I want to break them up.
We can
a little bit. Yeah,
we can.
Okay,
But
cool.
that's kind of
Cool.
I'm talking about how I would like, because I think there's a Venn diagram. My reason for saying this, Mike, we can break them up, but at the same time, I think that you unify the evaluation, and it goes back to the hard work thing we talked about. I don't think you have to make a competitor wait longer. There may be some like I've had some conversations recently with people who are getting promoted where I'm like, hey, look, like there's some practical things where it's like, hey, you've got a tournament coming up. And it may or may not make sense to time the promotion before or after this event so that like you can kind of close out whatever season, whatever event at this belt rank. The decision to promote you has already been made, just a timing thing. I guess this is why I'm kind of segmenting it out differently, dude. But I can address specifically like competition psychology and like how that person who maybe, this is my answer. And that person is on a slightly different path, and because of their goals, like you can give them like a slightly modified goal set, which is oriented around like, hey, how are we competing? But nonetheless, you can do this in a way where like they're working on different things than someone who's on the skill development and like this is a casual hobby thing for me, but like hold them to relatively similar timelines. You don't want to like ice out someone just because they're competing or ice out someone who's not competing. I don't think you should do that. Like that's why I'm approaching it from like a community perspective.
Gotcha.
But I do think they're different paths. And so, but maybe it's like a Venn diagram where there's alignment between the two, and you can kind of pull value in both sides. So, with your competitor, and this is a lot of why we always talk about competition, and we're talking about it now, even though this is an episode about promotions. The reason why we like that pathway is because I think it gets the student oriented towards a true understanding of the martial art, because they have to demonstrate the martial art against someone who is determined to stop them in a competitive environment. So it makes that person really like get the principles of what we're doing. That's why it's such a valuable vector for teaching a person martial arts. That's why we always recommend it. I think it's a good true north. And you don't have to do it. Like you can still get a lot of that from being on the mat too, because of what we said earlier, where it's like being on the mat's an inherently competitive experience. So you have to kind of get to these things, but like having that true, I have a tournament against randoms I don't know. I think it's a slightly more, let's just say, slightly more challenging version of the martial art again. That's just my take. Nonetheless, with competitors, dude, I mean, I printed out some stuff for your hand and something. I think you get the chance to convey to them all of the stuff that you do in martial arts versus perhaps someone who's just on that, like show up to class and skill acquisition, which is great too. Those people need to be promoted too. There's this whole world of like disparate techniques and things you can do in jiu-jitsu and learn skills and have a lot of fun. And I guess we'll use the word competition. If you seek the value and wisdom that you can extract from competition to really gain understanding in this martial art, you're going to need to learn how to like attack a game plan, learn how to play this competition like a sport, which is going to require you to like simplify things. You need to take a lot of data that you've received and distill it down to something you can execute. So what I would argue, and I guess my thought process on some of these things is I think it forces the competitor, and this is why I was saying it's like such a great way to like get to the root of the martial art is that you may take all the different things you've learned over the last year and a half, 2 years. You're like, let's say that white to blue belt tenure, and say, I have 5 minutes against an opponent or 6 minutes, whatever your time limit is. Like, I can't do everything that I've ever learned. I got to do like 4 things just to pick a number. But I do these 4 things really, really well. So I think it takes all the noise of the martial art and says like, all right, like I've got to like discipline myself to focus on the following moves and tactics as best as I possibly can to be able to perform against true competition. And so I think, with to connect to the question about promoting, I think that can become part of, and this is sort of what we were talking about with you, where it's like you're doing, like you're in campaign, so like you're working your game plan over and over and over, and you're kind of making audibles in between these like 3 or 4 days off that you have to like go do your next one, which isn't a ton of time, but the time's coming for you to kind of be like, all right, man, I've got mad data, and I'm like really going to take this game plan, and before next year's campaign, you will be a whole different person, find person. But anyways, that same individual is doing that, and they're forcing themselves like crucible by fire to like take a look at those 4 things, if that's what like them and their coach have listed out as like, this is how I want you to like really like approach your matches, and let's go out and let's test the thesis statement. Let's get the data. Let's see like, okay, do we have the right game plan? Can you execute the game plan? If it's a 4-piece, like I just said, 4 parts, just for the sake of conversation, like, you're getting step 1, step 2 really well. Step 3, you're getting a little jammed up, but like, hey, that's telling us something. So maybe it's still a good game plan, but like, we got to work on step 3 or whatever. Or maybe there's something in step 1 and step 2 that's like just a little bit off. It's causing you. It's like we get to do the science experiment of like getting the data and run through all that. And so I think you give that person the same rigor that you would give a non-competitor. Of like, hey, this person, it goes back to the hard work thing, right? This person's like just like they're challenging themselves and they're putting in the effort to try to learn. And so, and there are lots of cases where like I have competitors, I'm like, this guy's tough, got it down. I have no problem with all of that, but I want them to like actually just show up and maybe actually go do the experience of the non-competitor a little bit. Like, hey, for you, you're good on fighting in combat. Like you're tough as fuck. That's great. I'm not worried about that. And you can get your belt based on that. That's no problem when the time comes. But maybe I'd like you just to go show up to some other classes and like play around a little bit. Try to learn some stuff that we don't do in competition, just because maybe that's the hard work for that guy. Going back to like the wrestler example, where it's like, you're already very tough. Can you just wear the white belt and like go to some other classes and actually try to learn something different instead of just doing what you know all the time? So I think it is a little bit of like challenging that person to, if we look at the broader picture of all of the different assets that go into make all the different metrics that go into making the decision on the promotion, and saying, all right, like, let's find the thing that's not so easy for you and let's make you do the thing that's a little bit more of a challenge. And some people, the challenge is like literally putting on the white belt and just showing up to class and be like, I'll do jiu-jitsu, wrestler example, where it's like, can you just wear the white belt? Why do you not? It's dial back the ego a little bit. And maybe for the person who's doing that, it might be like the other person, the person who's the student, saying like, hey, let's just do one competition just to get you to challenge yourself a little bit. If you want a more tactical answer on the because perhaps you do, on the competitor thing, I think it's to put a little bow on that one, man. I think we have the 4-piece combo. You're a competitor. Let's say you've been on the mat for a year. You're a white belt with like 2 or 3 stripes, and like at the end of, if it's the big January of 2025, at the end of 2025, we're gonna eyeball a blue belt. We have an entire year to have you compete. Let's say a handful of times, and let's see if we can just get a little bit better at all of these things. Are you gaining an understanding? Can you maybe teach it back to me? Can you at least convey to me like what we're doing? Come up with something like that, because they're still blue belts. They're going to the blue belt. So it's like, you're not trying to like, even if it's a person who's a competitor, I'm not like approaching that white to blue belt competitor as you need to be thinking like a purple belt, because they're still just blue belts, or still white to blue belts. So there's like, that's why I was having that unification of like, rigor to the person, because I don't think
well, not every competitor is going to be a world champ either, right?
Right.
They don't, like, that was kind of like, you don't have to be the best.
Well, what I was going to say too is like, I mean, like, I do think there's some validity saying like, hey, this guy's actually, like, if it's, you approach it as an individual, sometimes you get people who are just like extremely gifted, and like, they will be like, they might master that game plan, like the blue belt test really fucking fast, man. And like, sometimes you got to give people like, I guess what I'm saying is like, traditionally blue belts can be between like 1 to 2 years, the sweet spot being like 1.5, right? The mid tier there. But there are lots of people out there who get promoted fast. And like, I have no problem with like, if someone can actually master the requirements, Maybe they do extra work. Maybe they show up like 8 sessions a week, dude. And so they're doing the Moneyberg example. They're doing all the work in the amount of like, they're compressing it. They're doing extra work or whatever. If someone can like really pull that off, I'm not opposed. I mean, I think you at a certain point, you have to kind of like, again, if that person's so gifted, you might just have to say like, you got to do it for it. Like, I'm cool with like having like some parameters, but like, I'm not opposed to like giving someone like a quick promotion if like this person authentically has earned it. I don't think you got to box them out and be like, I want to cook them a little bit longer just cause. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like it's, you're seeing them actually try to get better. They are good, but they're actively trying to improve. They're not just being like, oh, I'm already good, right? Like because what I was going to say is like throw that twist of like, you have the guy who's like, well, coach, I win every single match. And it's like, well, dude, you don't try to do anything new, right? Like, but if you have that guy who they go in, they win, but they come back and they're still trying to do something new. They're trying to learn, like that person's trying to actually get better, right? Versus, cause that was kind of what I was, well, that's not, I wasn't trying to like guide you to, but like I was thinking of like, you have that guy who's like, well, I win all the time. So-and-so is like 50-50, but so-and-so got promoted. I didn't get promoted. And you're like, well, dude, you do the same thing over and over again. You do the same thing when you're training too. You aren't doing new things. You're not learning more jujitsu, right?
Well,
Like,
that's why I think when we were talking about the individual approach, where it's like, I like the idea of saying like, well, let's take a look at this individual. Let's just make them do a little bit of hard work. Because like you said, like for that person, like we get it. Like say you're a nasty wrestler. You can go front headlock guillotine everybody 10 out of 10 times, every single class for a year. Like, dude, the hard work for that person might be the patience thing. Like, do you have a little bit of patience? Like I might be that guy. I'm like, this guy just needs to stay patient. Like he needs to do some shit that he's not so good at. Like you said, just make him do something a little bit challenging.
it's like, hey man, play guard.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right? Like,
I think we're saying the same thing. I think like, because like you said, I think there's like the core concept is like, are you working on growth? Or are you just like working on, because I have this conversation all the time too with like, with other folks who are kind of on the council, if you will, decision making for promotions where like this dude beats everyone in the gym. Like, oh, cool. It's not like it's invalid. It's definitely a part of the stew for making the decision for sure. Because again, it's a merit-based sport. Like it's like you want to give people credit for like they're good, man. I'm not trying to like, sandbag anybody. But also like, all right, yeah, but this guy, he's not doing any gi. And he knows he's got to wear a little bit of gi. I'm not saying you got to do like, if there's a humility aspect to like saying, I'm going to go do the thing that I'm not as great at. And that I respect,
Yeah.
Because that's, like you said, that's the growth part. Like how serious you're about growth or how serious you just really want the status. It's growth versus status. You're just thirsty for status and you think just guillotining every black belt in the gym is going to like, again, it's not invalid. Like, it's just nasty the guillotine, but like, that's cool, man. But like, just because you submitted a black belt, you skip the line. Yeah, black belt. Like, you can still be proud of that. Be like, dude, I can fucking guillotine. Like, cool. I got a pretty sick move. Nice. I love that. But like, go do something a little bit different. Like, let's get you from white belt. There are white belt wrestlers who will show up who are like one wrestlers. You show them one guillotine. I promise you, there are dudes out there. Jason Nolf.
Just smash.
Jason Nolf just got his blue belt, I think. I don't know. I don't even know what rank Jason Nolf is.
He just got his blue
Jason
belt.
Nolf's been competing against like professionals and he wins.
Well, yeah, he's been competing at like the elite level in jiu-jitsu.
Like right away.
Yeah.
And like he's a phenomenal, by the way, credit to him because guess what he did? He didn't, I don't know. I don't know the guy personally, but like he was wearing a white belt and he was doing that and he was, at least he got promoted to blue belt. I'm sure I don't know if he was bitching. That's a serious athlete. A serious athlete who's like, fuck it, I'll go compete because I think I'm fucking nasty. That's what you should do. That again goes back to competition. Like if you're that good, like cool, man, let's go win some shit. Because like the status thing internally, like you're gonna get your belt eventually. Can you just chill for a second? Like you gotta like chill with the status thing. Like if you really want status, let's go do something hard. Let's go prove it in public, which I support that. I'm not opposed to status. This status here may not be enough for your skill set and ambition. Like let's go find a real challenge for you. I have dudes who who are like this. Like, yo, man, let's get you out. Let's get you out on the track, you little Ferrari.
Yeah.
Let's run you around. And let's go.
Get off the hamster wheel.
Yeah. Let's get out there. Let's get you out there, man. Like, because that's great. Like, cool. The internal status will come. It's why do you care so much about that? Like, I understand why. it's also like, yo, man, like there's bigger things you might be really capable of doing. So let's just like harness these impulses in like a healthy way. Jason Dolph's a phenomenal example of that. Because I don't even, I think maybe he's a purple belt now.
No,
And I bet he got promoted pretty quick.
He just got his blue belt.
I thought that was true.
He just got his blue belt.
Cool.
Right at like the Kingsway opening.
Yeah. And I bet you what they're doing is they're being like, nice, man, like you're sick as fuck at wrestling. Your positional grappling is probably higher than most black belts, but like submission game or whatever, or guard or whatever. Like let's challenge you to do some other things. And guess what? And I bet you Jason Dolph is perfectly fine with a smile on his face to receive that blue belt from Gordon Ryan, and he should be. And then still goes out and just mercs black belts who are world champions on like a competitive, like that's a good way to take that type of person and say, let's make the most of this guy's experience.
Well, it's like what we've talked about this with like being able to be that white belt. We're actually going to do an episode on this, which actually might come out before this episode.
Whoa.
But white belt mentality, right? Like what is like being new at something is actually super exciting.
I love it.
Right? Like I like this. I learned how to fucking audio edit. I didn't know, well, like, yeah, you know, but I didn't really know how to do that before this. I was enjoying like reading tutorials on how to fucking edit audio.
Let's get better at this, right?
Like,
yeah.
That's exciting to people. The go out and smash everyone, that's a different story, right? Like that's a different path than what you're like that. You don't have, those don't have to be the same thing.
Right.
Your progress in the gym and your progress in competition can be separate things. Mm-hmm. You could be blue belt world champ, but still approach training like a white belt, right? And learn, right?
And by the way, the best competitors.
Yeah, like all those guys, that's why most of them don't care about belt levels, right? Like Nicky Robb was smashing dudes before he got his black belt. He didn't care about that black belt. That was just a cool thing at the end of the, right? Well, that's a cool thing that happened, but that wasn't the goal.
And he had a healthy realm to express his competitive impulses too, which was like fighting immediately
the
like,
top dudes.
Yeah, which is awesome. But by the way, that aligned with his talent and abilities, which is why like I think what we're saying is having these dual pathways. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, like so, you know, it's if you're that dude, that's you can go out there and do your A game at a tournament and smash everybody.
And that's great. That's awesome. Like you should like that's phenomenal. And get your medals. Like go fucking express that. That's awesome.
But don't let that be your journey in the gym. You're right. Like that's what like I tell my guys this all the time. I am really good at like 2 or 3 things, right? Like that's my like you know, when you're a competitor, you basically try to have like I'm a black belt at these moves. I am not a black belt because I am not excellent at like I don't have the knowledge, you know, like you're not quite there. But you know, it's like I think I've been listening to a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts because it helps me get better at podcasts. Josh McKinney was talking about that, right? He was kind of walking through what he tells people for belt ranks. And he's talking about like at purple belt, you should be becoming a black belt at 1 or 2 moves. 1 move is really all he looks for. Like, hey, you should be able to like, you should be the best at whatever thing. And as you get better and better, you start getting better and better at funneling to those positions. And it might be like, hey, like I'm able to funnel to this position from 1 other position. And then as you get better and better, now you can do it from 2 positions. Now you can do it from everywhere, right? Like as you get better. And like if you can only win if you're in that position by chance, you're not the next rank yet, right? Like you need to spend the time in the gym getting better at directing everything and get better at the other positions so that you can always get to your position that you need to be in competition. Like spoiler alert, my funnel position is north-south Kimuras. I'm going to get you there. That's what I'm looking for. All you competitors, you can always, all the guys we can compete against.
They got to listen to the show.
Listen to the show.
They got to listen to the show. As long as they, share and tell 5 friends,
follow,
we'll deal with that.
Hit the 5 stars.
We'll move on to the next thing surreptitiously before the, by the time they hear this, you're going to be on to the next motherfucking.
Yeah.
You're going to keep them guessing.
But, you know, like that is my funnel. That's the position I'm funneling to, right? And so, but that's not enough. Like just being good at that isn't enough. I have to be able to be good at enough everything else to get to that. Because if I'm just good at Kimuras, but I can never get to a position to do the Kimura, and I'm only winning by chance, it's not good enough, right? Like that's not, especially if you're just in the gym and you're just like, oh, I just Kimura people when I end up on top. It's not enough. You need to be able to do more.
And as an expression, I like that psychology on like purple belts, and kind of like assessing them. I think that's really, I love that. I would say as an extension of that too, if we're talking about like higher belts now and like progression there, definitely I'll call it an expression, like definitely an expression of your skill at whatever that one thing, and then eventually like it becomes two things or whatever. But like that's how we're looking at those purple belts. I think this is around the time where you ask them to teach it to other people, because if you really are good at it, you understand it, and then can you communicate it? And that's, I mean, again, this is a higher belt thing. We're talking about promotions where it's like, all right, like now can you give back to the community? Are you trying to show up? Can you help other people get good at the thing you're really good at too? And start to, give back and become a coach. Not every high belt's going to be a coach. There's nothing wrong with that. They don't want to coach. But I like the idea of, like, and I think it's connected to what you're saying. I think it's still a skill thing for that individual. It's like, all right, man, how well do you know it? Can you explain it?
Yeah, I know.
Shit. Can you make like 5 white belts learn it faster than you?
Like I know some, and it all depends on what your affiliation is, how everyone. But like I know some gyms and some affiliations, like their black belt test is a seminar, right? Like, I mean, you've already kind of decided at that point, but like that is, you provide a seminar and you get your black belt. Like that's, I know some people, that's how they do it.
It's a cool idea.
And so, like it makes sense, right? Like you should be able to teach those things in a concise enough manner that someone would pay for a seminar for it, right? Like at that point, like, yeah, you probably are like at least at the thing you're teaching a black belt, but like that definitely makes sense. Cause yeah, I mean, if you can explain it and you can show it to someone else and they can, and like we talk about all the time, you can do it concisely, quickly, and people actually can learn it. And like, yeah, obviously people are going to ask questions, whatever. But like, if you can get someone to at least be able to do it and walk them through it, you probably know the thing really well. For sure. So
I love it. So in summary, just keep training, care less about the way the mat battles are going. Still care, but just don't let it be your entire world.
yeah.
Try, push yourself. That's cool. Like, just be excited. Like, all right, man, I got a target on my back now. Big deal. Fun. And that person's going to have a target too. Because they're going to be like, oh, no, I want to fight the purple belts a little bit tougher. The purple belts going to know that. They're going to smush you for a little while. It's just like, you're going to keep training. Like, if it took you 2 years to get your blue belt, cool. Just 2 more years. And then 2 more years. And then 2 more years. And then it's a life sentence.
Yeah, well, and I definitely, once you tell people when promotions are, they all
goes up.
Dude,
everyone
tennis goes. People
everyone's
start
the
going
best
hard
student possible.
shit too. I know, like the second people find out of promotions, I'm like, why are you all being so mean to me now? Because like I'm usually like one of the ranking guys, and I'm like, you're all going way harder than usual.
Right.
I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to help you. Why are you fighting me?
Yeah, no, and here's the other thing too. Like, I mean, it's perhaps it sounds like we're downplaying like the belts, and like belts are cool, man. It's fun. Like I like seeing people light up when they get their belt. It's fun. It should be exciting. Like it is a big deal. Be proud of your work, and that's what we're here to recognize. It is really cool. I don't want to make it sound like I'm downplaying these things. It can be easy to like look at that and be like, as a black belt, be like, it's no big deal. It's not that big deal. When you've had a black belt for like 10 years or whatever, like it might sound like that, but it is a big deal. It's cool. It's just like, it's not everything. Not everything.
Well, and
remember what got you there. You didn't have the belt. You did all the work and you got the belt.
yeah,
just keep that attitude,
Yeah,
I'm just going to show up and do the work attitude.
I was going to say, like, it is one of those things where, like, that, like, super cliche, like, the journey is the thing, right? Like, the belts are just checkpoints. They're just telling you where you are along the way, but they're not the reward. Like, it'll be very easy to get down about it, especially in a sport, in a activity, a hobby, a sport, whatever it is to you, that only has, 5 belts?
Mm-hmm.
And only like 4 of them you're awarded. it would be very easy to get down about it if all you're thinking about is being
The
awarded a belt. The journey, the skill acquisition, the knowledge that you gain is really what's the most important. And like, if you focus on that,
belts take care of themselves.
Everything else will just happen.
Yeah.
You'll get where you want to go. And it's fine. If your goal is to get those belts, awesome. But like, don't let that be the entire definition of your journey through jiu-jitsu. It's fun. Have fun with it. Always have fun. That should be like rule number one with jiu-jitsu is have fun.
Keep it fun, man.
So yeah, for all you guys that are coming off of belt promotions listening to this.
Yeah.
Because that's where we both have, both our gyms are doing belt promotions on the 15th, the same day. So this will be coming out. This will be the following Tuesday. So we're talking to all those guys that were just at belt promotions that we saw and either put through promotions or were a part of somebody else's promotions. They got their stripes. So, that's what this is. That's what inspired this. But yeah, guys, for all of them, hopefully this, keeps you going. And for everybody else, I hope it's something that helps you out in your journey in jiu-jitsu, because we're all on the road together. Yeah, guys, this was Fighters Drinking Coffee. We were drinking coffee. I drank all mine. It's gone.
I'm still drinking coffee.
I drink coffee very fast. But yeah, as always, guys, like, follow, all those things. Subscribe. Hit us on Instagram at Fighters Drinking Coffee. You can get Scott at Scott Dance BJJ. Find me at Get Sudsy. Hit the Discord. That's in the show notes as well. We also have a couple. I need to go and change one of them. We have some links in the description as well that'll get you guys some discounts. One on some sweet gear from Cruise Combat. We're still working on that. They're very busy people. Small businesses, that's how it goes. They're busy people. So he's still working on it, but we're going to have some cool stuff for you guys coming from them in the near future. Once we have that, we will share that information with you guys. That's another reason to follow the Instagram. But also, most important, 5 stars wherever you're listening to the show. You hit that. That gets us in front of more people. That helps grow the show so we can keep giving you guys more and more content to more and more people. Our information will get to their ears. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.